Mr. Investor Lot, welcome back to the channel, baby. Today we gonna get real grizzly. And I'm not talking Winnie the Pooh or Below the Bear. So today we're gonna be talking about Bionano Genomics releasing this juicy news about nuprobe. I dug a little bit deeper and I wanted to find out about nuprobe. I want to know who finances them. I wanted to know interconnections. I also decided to look at ARK Invest. Two of the markets that we are currently focusing on are with this juicy deal. Exactly where the money is going in genomics. Exactly how much money and how much spending the UK and the US is prepared to commit to genomics, and currently all the news surrounding genomics and what's going on in the world and how we could be directly involved. If you're new to the channel, my name is Miguel. I look for big juicy growth stocks. We've been covering Bionano Genomics since January. We snuck into the festival of genomics and delivered Bionano Genomics presentations within, and today I want to talk about my thoughts and feelings, and I want to show you my research into this nuprobe global relationship. I hope you enjoy this content and find it valuable and entertaining. Remember, it's not financial advice, it's for entertainment only. If you're able to support the channel, please do. You can click join just above my head, or you can send me donations on PayPal. I am so grateful for you guys. Thank you so much for always supporting me. Also, thank you to everybody that wished me happy birthday the other day. I love and appreciate you guys. Now let's get into this juicy video. First things first, institutions are still eating up these shares. The institutional ownership accumulation score, according to Fintel, we got the premium version. We're ranked 254th out of 21,000 stocks, and these are the companies that are identified as having the highest levels of institutional accumulation, refreshed on a daily basis. As you can see here, daily. Still got 247 institutional owners, 33% institutional shares. So you guys must have seen this information already. This was released by PR Newswire on the 1st of September 2021. It was actually shared by Richard Shippey, and then he deleted the tweet afterwards. And now they've recently done the same press release on September 7th, 2021. So I was looking at the specific titles and seeing if anything changed in between these articles. With the PR Newswire article, they are saying that they are co-developing products in reproductive health and oncology testing. So I explored these two. In the press release released by Bionano Genomics yesterday, September 7th, it states that nuprobe Global adopts Bionano Genomics Saphyr system. So it states that they are developing products in reproductive health and oncology applications. So why are they focusing on oncology and reproductive health? Reproductive health, a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity in all matters relating to the reproductive system and to its functions and processes. If we're looking at the women's health market size, and reproductive health represents a segment of this, we are looking at an industry worth $47.8 billion by 2027. It's got a compounded annual growth rate of nearly 5%, and what is driving this? Actually, governments and various private organizations focused on women's health across the globe is driving the market. If we're looking at fertility and we're looking at IVF treatment, here in the UK, IVF costs from a private clinic can range between £1,500 and £5,000 per cycle. But how many cycles do you need to get pregnant? Well, the success rates vary. It's about 20 to 35% per cycle, but if you're to do a cumulative effect of 3 cycles of IVF, you increase the chance to 45 to 53%. This is provided by the NICE guidelines. You can see here, there's somebody who creates guidelines and lots of rules and regulations in the UK. So 3 full cycles and you still only have a maximum of around 53% chance of getting pregnant. If we take the maximum cost here, £5,000 times 3 full cycles, that's £15,000 for like a 50% chance of getting pregnant. So having a segment of a potentially huge and lucrative market is juicy. And I think data and information are the best things that can come out of this. So we're looking at markets where you're trying to diagnose disease early, and you're trying to help find biomarkers as well for drugs and therapeutics. So next, let's look at nuprobe Global and let's see their roots and relationships. Well, nuprobe Global, back in 2020, this article was released by genomeweb.com, and they were speaking about a strategic partnership with Illumina in late 2019, where they were focusing on next generation sequencing testing for infertility and genetic diseases. But wait, the game gets deeper there. Could there be a direct relationship between nuprobe and Illumina? Well, if we go to nuprobe's website, you can see here nuprobe, and you look at their story. Go to their company and go to their story. If you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that their investor is Sequoia Capital. They've also got a range of government funding. You can see here National Cancer Institute, NIH, National Institute of Health, and CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. But we want to focus on Sequoia Capital because on February 1st, 2021, this article was released talking about Illumina's relationship with Sequoia Capital and how they want to launch genomic startup incubators in China. So Illumina actually partnered up with Sequoia Capital, and they wanted to provide lots of founders and new companies and entrepreneurs with advice advice as well as giving them some upfront money. They wanted to help fund and drive innovations and entrepreneurship in the world of genomics. So interconnections, maybe it's just speculation, but let's move on. Next, I looked at optical genome mapping and I wanted to see the most recent article, and I found this released. So Globe Newswire released this article talking about the global optical genome mapping market. Released on my birthday, baby. So here they spoke about driving factors, they spoke about competition, they spoke about forecasts and opportunities between 2022 to 2026. They stated that the global optical genome mapping market is projected to accomplish exemplary growth in the forecast period 2022 and 2026. So why is the market growing? They're stating that this is because there's increasing advancements in medicine. They want to find effective and efficient treatments, and this is for various evolving chronic diseases. They stated that optical genome mapping is affordable and highly accurate, and this is what is going to drive global adoption and global growth of the optical genome mapping market over the next 5 years, as well as lots of other biotech studies and research. So again, as I said, data. What they're focusing on is new drug development and treatment. And yet again, we see more evidence for optical genome mapping being used in new drug development and treatment procedure. They believe that the process of optical genome mapping is less time consuming, less costly as well, compared to the traditional methods out there. And this is the most bullish statement I can see here. Optical genome mapping plays major part in drug development procedures. Thus, consumable component can be expected to hold the largest revenue shares of the market segment and assert its dominance over the segment in the upcoming 5 years. So remember, this report was actually looking at optical genome mapping between 2016 and 2019, and when they're looking at the forecasted period, they were looking at 2022 to 2026. We've had so much more data come into play between then. And in terms of drug discovery market, we were looking at BCC research. They were looking at drug discovery technologies, stating that the global market for drug discovery technologies is going to grow from $69.8 billion in 2020 to $110 billion by 2025. If the optical genome mapping market is going to continue to grow and see this explosive growth in revenue, as well as applications in which you can use optical genome mapping, and ARK Invest in their 2021, their January PDF of big ideas, they've stated that the market leaders here in optical mapping that they view is BNGO, Bionano Genomics and Nabsys. The next thing we want to look at is their funding going to be coming in? Well, I wanted to see the Genome UK government document, and I wanted to see what their spending is going to be like. Over to my right, it states that they're going to increase their spending on research and development by £22 billion by 2025. Now that's just the UK. Over in America, Biden has spoken, and recently, September the 3rd, 2021, Biden has said that they want to prepare for future pandemics, so they want to invest and make sure that they are ready. Within the introduction, they spoke about C19, and they spoke about the costs, the economic damage and the costs of this virus and what it's done, so they want to prepare for future pandemics. They said it's estimated $16 trillion it's costs in lost economic output to the US. So their plan of action is to invest in a range of categories, but the total cost they want to spend is $65.3 billion. And this is going to be over a time period of 7 to 10 years. In terms of categories, it's spent between vaccinations, 24 billion, therapeutics, diagnostics, early warnings, and many other categories, including real-time monitoring. So now we've established that governments across the world want to invest and make sure that they've put in money into genomics. They want to prepare themselves for pandemics as well as make sure that they're looking at chronic diseases, developing new drugs and therapeutics, and looking for biomarkers. This Forbes article talking about the UK genomic startups that are going to change the future of healthcare forever. This was on September the 1st, 2021. If you scroll down, you'll see that a few of these articles, they're looking at funding, and $100 million raised in 2 rounds here. This is a company, Genomics PLC, focusing on transforming disease prevention and drug discovery. In terms of diagnostics, we're looking at cancer, which is another market we're focusing on. Cancer diagnostics markets are worth $249.6 billion by 2026, according to Grandview Research. So in this huge cloud of genomics, where does Bionano Genomics sit in it? Well, with researchers using BNGO's saphyr system, Yuval Ebenstein from Tel Aviv University, right here from the article here, you guys may remember this, the data that he found, he states that this data may for the first time allow us to discover new biomarkers and point to novel drug targets in places of the genome where no one has looked before. And this deal with nuprobe, if we're looking at oncology testing, this original article by PR Newswire stated that nuprobe is going to integrate their technology with Bionano's saphyr system for research and product development, and they want to look into oncology, specifically liquid biopsies. how much is this market worth? According to Cowen, they wrote this quite a while ago, so I was looking at the Cowen Insight. First of all, what is liquid biopsies? Liquid biopsies use a blood draw to identify genetic structures associated with cancer. Recent advancements are enabling the use of these tools in cancer screening, therapeutic selection, and drug trial optimization, and recurrence monitoring. This is where it gets really interesting. They estimate that the market opportunity across all classes of liquid biopsies range between at least $30 billion to $130 billion per year, and this is in the United States alone. Just in the United States. Look how big that market is. I then remember this video from Simon Barnett. I know he gets a lot of stick, but his evaluation of the liquid biopsy market, he can see now that optical genome mapping is going to play a part in cancer, and he's been writing articles recently involving optical genome mapping. But here is the analysis from ARK Invest. This was in February 2021, and here's how much it's worth to them.
Reason for liquid biopsies.
Liquid biopsies are being empowered by NGS, and they're probably one of the most important tools in an oncologist's toolkit of the entire century. What they allow doctors to do is use sequencing to find very small fragments of DNA in the blood and use that to guide cancer care. They're broadly applicable across the entire cancer care continuum, all the way from being used to detect cancer in its earliest stages when it's the most treatable, so that's called screening, to therapy optimization, meaning understanding the mutations that are happening inside of a patient and using that information to match them to the targeted therapy that's most likely to cure them of their disease. And even more importantly, something called recurrence monitoring. When a patient is treated and ends their treatment cycle, whether it's surgery or chemotherapy, it's important to be able to monitor them over time to ensure that the cancer doesn't come back in force. So all of these areas are being completely changed through liquid biopsy. We estimate that in the US alone, those markets served by liquid biopsy could be worth as much as $100 billion by the end of 2025.
Shmoney, baby. So I wanted to see how his opinion has changed with optical genome mapping and liquid biopsies. Simon has known about optical genome mapping and BNGO, but his understanding wasn't foolproof apparently back in January 10th, 2021. Messenger of Moiseville Brennan tried to tell him, take a look at this, man. And he wanted to write about ARK Invest's understanding of optical mapping and his favorite topics, digital health and liquid biopsy. So in 2019, he was bullish on liquid biopsies becoming mainstream, used in routine care, and that the amount of liquid biopsies is actually going to boost the annual sequencing volume by 40-fold. So that was March 2019. A couple months later, in May 2019, he spoke about how liquid biopsies will become a standard in recurrence monitoring. Still no mention of optical genome mapping. He was just talking about next generation sequencing. And then recently this year, the exploitable genomics of cancer, earlier cancer detection part 2. This is the article he wrote on August 30th, 2021. He included optical genome mapping in the mix. So if you scroll down the article, he speaks about innovation and saying that newer genomic domains like single cell sequencing, long read sequencing, optical mapping, and digital spatial profiling are also enhancing our understanding of tumor biology. So with cancer, we are a key piece to the puzzle. Then let's take a look at the industry. Is anyone else interested in liquid biopsies, or is it only these analysts who are bullish on it? Well, if you guys remember from March the 2nd, 2021, I always spoke about, Bionano genomics. Once we start getting this money together, can we explore and actually push into other industries? Like, will our nano nozzle be ready for the sequencing market, or will we acquire liquid biopsy companies to enter into this market too? It turns out we don't need to. We just partner with nuprobe and we can develop. However, companies like Agilent Technologies decided to acquire a liquid biopsy firm called Resolution Bioscience, and they were willing to spend $695 million for this acquisition. So how much was Resolution Bioscience generating? Well, they had their own CLIA test services and distributable kits. They were using non-invasive liquid biopsy test platforms, and in 2020, the company had turned over $35 million in revenue, and they're expected to generate $50 to $55 million in revenues in 2021. All of this while saving lives. With cancer, it's a disease of time as well. You want to diagnose as early as possible to save people's lives. So we can see, if we go to the Agilent website, Agilent acquires Resolution Bioscience. One of the main headings is speeding up the detection detection of cancer. And if you also look at the liquid biopsy research on their website, they're stating that they're looking for biomarkers. So they're looking to detect biomarkers with high sensitivity for liquid biopsy research. And one of the hardest things to do is actually to detect these cancer biomarkers, which is what we've already done with Yobel Ebenstein. Thank you very much, Mr. Tel Aviv. Well, we may not have fully done it yet. We have found similar biomarkers, but the data he's saying that he has found recently may allow us to discover these new biomarkers, and we can use these to point to novel drug targets. So reproductive health and oncology, focusing also on the oncology liquid biopsy market, which is valued by two analysts, including Cowen and ARK Invest. These guys are analyzing it to be worth, over 100 billion. I'm long and strong on BNGO. I'm going to look to actually collect some more shares soon. I'm actually studying at the moment, so I had to lower my hours at my part-time job. So I'm kind of in this phase of being a broke student at the moment, but I'll continue to buy as much shares as I can of this company because I believe that we are going to have this reoccurring lucrative revenue from so many different industries. For example, over in Abu Dhabi, you can see here they're running this Emirati genome program focusing on a healthier future for the United Arab Emirates citizens. And who are they doing this with? Well, I'm not entirely sure, but I can see this is speculation here. Wellcome Sanger Institute uses Bionano genomics, optical genome mapping, as you can see here, Bionano genomics. And I found this study with the University of Birmingham. This is a genetic study looking into agriculture and climate change in the Middle East and how ancient humans adapted to that. So Wellcome Sanger Institute collected 137 samples from individuals representing 8 Middle Eastern populations. Could they be using Bionano genomics saphyr system to also collect data? Wellcome Sanger is also working on learning to unlock the secret to a bigger brain. So they found a genetic discovery which indicates that an inactivated gene actually makes people have larger brains. Over the other side of the World Health Organization, seeing here, they've issued new recommendations and guidelines on human genome editing for advancement of public health. So we can see now the movement. There's a lot of movement to genomics now, a lot of focus, and some rules and regulations are now coming into play. This is one of the statements the WHO Director General, Dr. Tedros, he has said that human genome editing has the potential to advance our ability to treat and cure disease. But the full impact will only be realized if we deploy it for the benefit of all people. And with the pet industry, the pet market, can Bionano genomics make some money from this industry too? Researchers were actually using BNGO's saphyr system to map out other dogs, but let's take a look at this dog. The Cavalier King Charles Spaniel is more prone to genetic disease than other dogs due to intense breeding. So researchers found that the species carries more genetic mutations than other species, which may explain why it gets so many inherited diseases. So if we're working on genetic biomarkers and we're looking at predisposition of disease in humans, can we do it for the pet industry too? And can we design therapeutics? People love their animals. They're willing to spend bags and bags of money on their animals to keep them healthy, to keep them fit, and to look after them when they're ill. Well, have they done this research before? We remember, I don't know if you guys saw this article, I covered it as well, that the German Shepherd dog was actually mapped out using long reads, optical mapping, and high C. Being one of the most intelligent dogs on the planet and one of the most common breeds on Earth, known to be susceptible to a range of genetic diseases, it only seems right that they mapped out the doggy. And just for you guys to see here, they use Bionano. You can see Bionano in there, Pack B, Oxford Nanopore, 10x Genomics. I really believe there's a market in that pet industry that we could possibly look at as well. Last but not least, the genomics market is going to continue to grow. Some people are giving bigger figures than others. Loads of different analysts are bouncing around, but what we know is there's a lot of investment going into genomics and people are bullish on this industry growing over time. I'm losing my voice, but I just want to say a big thank you to everybody. Shout out to Messenger of Moiseville Brennan, drop me a message, brother. And I wanted to know if this was the real Larry Raymer, the one that writes the bullish articles and is long on BNGO. And Larry Raymer on StockTwit said, yes, it's me, tell him he's doing a great job. And thanks for the citations. Go BNGO! So thank you guys for watching. If you're able to support my channel, and if you like the research that I've been doing, please click join on the channel here, or you can drop me any donations on the PayPal link. Remember, I will never send you a WhatsApp number. Those guys are scammers pretending to be me. And if you're unable to donate, just you hitting that like button and clicking subscribe means the world to me. Please also bounce around some ideas. Do you think that my opinion is correct? Do you think that there's some stuff I could improve on in these videos? I'm always willing to learn. I'm constantly a student. Thank you for all your love and support. And what do you think BNGO is going to be in years to come? Can you see this evolving the story? Can you see them what they're working on and their roadmap in the future to boosting their revenues? Tell me what you believe Bionano Genomics is going to do as a company, and tell me what you're most bullish about as well. What industry we will affect. Okay, man, I'm losing my voice. Mr. Invest a lot. Over and out, baby. Thank you for watching. Love y'all.